Hello, everybody. I'm Scott Montesano, the voice of the Des Moines Buccaneers, with this week's Des Moines Buccaneers Weekend Review. Well, it was not a good week for the Buccaneers. There's really no other way to put it, as the Buccaneers earned just 1 out of a possible 6 points. No matter how you slice it up, that is disappointing, as the Buccaneers failed to pick up any points at Lincoln and Sioux Falls and had to settle for a single point in a home shootout loss to Green Bay on Saturday. So the Bucs are winless in 3 straight games, their longest drought of the season, but reason for optimism that we will get to in just a second. Tuesday night, Bucs went to Lincoln, just didn't play good and ended up leaving with a loss in that game. Friday night at Sioux Falls, really didn't show up in a 5-0 loss. But it began the turn on Saturday night, and that's why you leave the weekend not feeling totally disheartened, as the Buccaneers played well on Saturday night, particularly the last 30 minutes of that game, as they got back to doing what they had been doing so successfully at the start of the year. Just weren't able to pull out the win on Saturday night, but did rally back from an 0-2 hole and a third period deficit to at least get that single standings point on Saturday against Green Bay. Now, of course, you want the full 2 points, particularly at home, but one thing good teams do is they at least get a point when they're not able to get the full 2 points, and the Bucs did that on Saturday. Again, as I said, reason for hope this last weekend for the Buccaneers is the way they finished that game on Saturday night, getting back to their basic fundamental strategy that was so successful in, the end of September and throughout all of October. And Dave Allison runs a simple style. He's very open about it. There's no secret to what the Bucs are trying to do. It's so simple you feel you need to overanalyze or risk looking lazy, but it's an offensive, aggressive style that's built defensively. The whole idea is to bottle up your opponent, not let them get much time in your own zone, which makes sense, gain the offensive possession and the attacking zone. And it was demonstrated beautifully by Joe Widmar's goal on Saturday that got the Bucs on the scoreboard. He skated into the Green Bay zone and scored with a backhand. Bucs again coming back on Saturday night. The goal by Widmar, a goal by Tanner Carty off a great centering feed by Patrick Grasso. The Bucs, though, would come up short in the shootout, but not before, again, they began to take control of that game in the last 30 minutes and arguably dominated the long stretches of the third period. A Mark Patasio post late in regulation while the Bucs were on the power play separated the Bucs from a victory on Saturday. If that puck is just a half-inch lower off the deflection by Patasio, Bucs win that game in regulation instead of losing in the shootout. If the Bucs are going to get back to winning regularly like we saw this team do at the beginning of the season, Bucs are going to have better starts than they've had. Bucs simply have not had the production in early in games here in the last 3 weeks. Bucs have allowed the first goal in 8 of their last 9 games. That's right, Bucs have allowed the first goal in 8 of their last 9 games, and predictably so, the Bucs are just 3-5-1 in their last 9 games. The sort of record that's not going to get you a playoff spot. That's the bad news. Good news is nobody else in the Western Conference has really gone on a tear to take advantage of it in these last 3 weeks. So while the Bucs have been sort of spinning their tires here the last few weeks, they're still in second place. They're still just 3 points out of first place in the Western Conference. Every team has to go through a slide, and if this is the Buccaneers slide right now, hey, that's not all that bad to get it out of your way in November when nobody else was taking advantage of it. And you're also seeing that there may be a couple of really good teams in the USHL right now, like Cedar Rapids and Dubuque, but there's no guaranteed 2 points in the USHL. I know it's a cliche, but there really isn't. Teams like Omaha and Lincoln have bad records in the Western Conference, but they're not bad teams, and if you don't play well, you're going to lose against those teams. So while the Bucs lost at Lincoln, a team below 500, and lost at Sioux Falls, a team that at the time was below 500, and lost in a shootout at home to Green Bay, a team below 500. It's not as though the Bucks had a guaranteed 2 points going into those games. This looks like it might be a year full of parity in the USHL, something the league has lacked in the last few years. Bucks have just a single game this week. It'll be a big one Friday night in Kearney, Nebraska against the Tri-City Storm. Second place in the Western Conference will be on the line. We'll see if the Bucks can score first. We'll see if the Bucks can pick up the win on the road, a place where they have struggled in recent weeks, coming up on Friday night. Of course, you can follow all the action right here at buckshockey.com. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your week.